James Charles just announced his new collaboration palette and brush set with Morphe in a launch video posted on his channel yesterday. Yet, he's already wrapped up in so much drama over this. Is there a spelling error with his name on the front of the palette? Did James deceive his subscribers by re-swatching over an existing swatch to give it more pigment? Why are fans outraged over this launch and boycotting his release? And if that wasn't enough drama already, James Bennett is shading James once again. Stay tuned for all of this piping hot tea, sis.
7:59 a.m.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello. What are you doing?
I have to film a video for Mango Tea.
What's the video about?
James Charles and the new eyeshadow palette that he just released with Morphe and the brush set.
Another new palette? What is it with these people and their palettes? There's some palette coming out every day. How many palettes can there possibly be? How do they make any money on these palettes when every day some beauty influencer is making another palette? They're all cannibalizing each other. Palette, palette, palette. Everyone's got a palette. How much palettes can there be to slap on this crap on people's faces?
That's the tea.
What do you mean the tea?
20 minutes later.
Oh, hi, beautiful girl. I didn't see you there. Welcome to Mango Tea. Mango Tea. Unleash your inner artist. If you're new here, my name is Steven Mango, and I'm a drama channel that talks about beauty drama and the beauty community. So if you want to stay up to date on all things YouTube drama, make sure to go down below, click on that subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon right on next to it, so you stay up to date on all things YouTube drama. So without further ado, let's get right on into today's video. Drama Poodle. Do you have drama for Daddy about James Charles and his new Morphe collaboration? Oh my goodness, tell me the drama. Oh my goodness, Drama Poodle, I had no idea about that. I had no idea there was so much drama. Thank you for telling Daddy all the tea. Bitch, Drama Poodle was just telling me all the latest drama about James Charles and his Morphe collaboration that he just announced onto his channel, which is an eyeshadow palette as well as a brush set. And pretty much the internet exploded right after James posted this video onto his channel. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions already. It hasn't even launched yet. It's not in anyone's hands unless people have been getting PR and that sort of thing. But again, this isn't something that anyone has swatched yet besides James himself. I believe Trend Mood actually posted some swatches now that I think about it. But this is a brand new launch that's coming with James and Morphe. And this isn't something that is a big shock or surprise that James is coming out with this palette through Morphe, since he has been hinting about it for a while. There's been talks that James wanted to be redoing the 35B palette, which has since been discontinued by Morphe. So here is a photo of what the 35B palette used to look like. And Morphe said on Twitter on June 11th of this year, "Hi babe, the 35B is unfortunately no longer available. Check your local Morphe store to see if there are any remaining 35B palettes. We've got some killer new palettes in the works, and if you like 35B, you'll really love our upcoming launches." Also back in June, Trend Mood said, "So we already know Morphe Brush's 35B palette is discontinued. Maybe that's just another hint. Maybe sister James Charles is doing a collab with Morphe, and together they're recreating a new 35B, 35B2. Coming soon. We'll keep you updated." And James has been talking about wanting to redo that palette, and you know, people pretty much knew that he was going to be doing something in collaboration with Morphe. We know about code James for 10% off. Girl, he even has sweatshirts and merch with the 10% off code with Morphe. So we knew that James, it was about time. Everyone's pushing Morphe down our throats, or at least they were, especially with Jaclyn Hill. I think she even recently issued an apology about how much she was shoving Morphe down people's throats, because everything was just Morphe. And it makes sense, though, if you're one of those big beauty gurus, that you're going to be pushing it. I mean, when you're at that level, you're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think that on the other flip side of that, if you want to be doing tutorials and give people honest opinions about makeup, if you are just basically shilling one brand, it's not really like you're having an authentic experience on your channel by reviewing makeup when you're just pushing Morphe down everyone's throat. That is a whole nother story, that's a whole nother video. But with regard to James and his Morphe collaboration, Thomas Halbert as well was talking about how James would be doing this with Morphe. So again, this has been long awaited that James was going to be putting out an eyeshadow palette. So it is finally here, and let's start with the launch video. So the intro to this video was very overdramatic, with James whispering, "Unleash your inner artist. Unleash your inner artist." Stomping around and clapping. And it was very over the top, but I just wanted to get right on into it. I skipped a little bit of the intro because I wanted to actually see the palette itself. So again, like I said earlier, it's not just a palette, it's also a brush set. The palette's going to be retailing for $39, $1 for each of the 39 eyeshadows in this palette, and there are 7 shades in the middle, which are going to be your transition shades. And I think that's pretty much a pretty fair price. I mean, it's pretty standard for like a collaboration with like another YouTuber to be doing a palette around this price point. Now, it's very interesting because Jaclyn Hill just recently had a palette come out through Morphe, or her 4 palettes that came out through Morphe very recently. So a lot of palettes have been coming out on the market lately. I was even telling Jeff this, I'm like, it seems like every day or every other day, someone's releasing a new palette, someone's releasing or launching some new whatever, you know, you want to say, and it's just very annoying because it's just like makeup overload at this point, and everything has pretty much already been done once before. But what I really liked about this palette from the get-go, before we're getting into the swatching drama, before any of that sort of stuff that we're going to be addressing, what I really liked about the palette, that it was a very colorful, rainbow-esque type of palette. It was very colorful, and I feel like we've been seeing a lot of new tone palettes, whether it's Nudie Patootie with Laura Lee doing a palette, or whether it's Huda Beauty, or whether it's pretty much every other palette on the market. Everything is more nude toned, and I think that's great, but there's already a million nude palettes out there. And what James is basically saying in this video, what he really liked about, you know, working on this palette, was that there is basically, you can make anything with any of the different eyeshadows because there's so many different tones, and they're supposed to be really pigmented and beautiful. So I'm just waiting for the swatches to happen until there was some drama with the swatches. Now, before even getting there, I wanted to mention about the front of the palette. Now, the very front of the palette, you would look at it and say, what's wrong with the front of the palette, Mango Tea? What are you picking apart about the palette? You don't even have the $39 palette in your hands. Like, what is the drama or issue about the front of the packaging? Well, not the initial box that it comes in, but when you look at the actual front of the packaging, on his name on the front, James Charles. I had a little Rich Lex moment there. James Charles, clock at the house, honey. I have something to say here. Now, it's signed James Charles, but if you look at it in this cursive writing, now I grew up writing cursive, and I love writing cursive. Everything's cursive. Cursive the house, honey. I've been getting very sassy lately, using Rich Lex to channel my sass, but it looks like it isn't James Charles. He didn't really make an E. He didn't really separate the R and the L. So a lot of people were saying it looked like it said James Chainio or James Chains instead of James Charles. And if it was my palette, I think I would just want to make sure like you can really see my name and it was very clearly spelled. I think anyone buying this palette is going to know it's James Charles, who's going to go buy a $40 palette at Morphe. They're going to know it's the James Charles collaboration. That's just being like picky about things. But a lot of people online were saying when you look at it, you can't really tell the difference between James Charles and James Chainio once you actually look at it. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't even look like it says James Charles. Now, getting into all the swatching drama, the house. I might as well just put this video on Rich Lex's channel at this rate. But a lot of people were saying that when James was actually doing the swatches, that on the spooky shadow, the black eyeshadow, it was already pre-swatched. So what it appeared, which I will play a clip in here and try to make it in slow-mo so you guys can check it out, it looked like there was already a pre-existing black shade here, and he went through and he re-swatched, over to try to give an impression that the black was actually more pigmented than it may actually be. So as you can see here in slow motion, there's already a swatch down when James swatches over it on his arm. So take a peek here. Now this may be an eyeshadow that you may want to layer, or you may need to play around with a little bit more. He was suggesting that you may need to use a flat brush with this, that, you know, in the beginning, the formula may take a little bit of getting used to, so I'm very curious to see when other people do tutorials with this palette, what it's actually going to look like on an actual eyeshadow look versus just on the arm swatches, which I think make a very big different impression. He also said that you may want to use Shape Tape Concealer to basically as a primer before actually applying the eyeshadow. So I'm just very curious why there was like so many disclaimers about the eyeshadows before they even came out. I guess he has to cover his bases and kind of explain how to use it before people actually apply it and think it may be more blendable than it actually is, or there may be some drama in the house about the eyeshadows. But to me, I think that it is a little bit misleading. I think just like one swatch going across and just see what pigment picks up on the one swatch versus trying to go over it and over it to try to give another impression that it may be more pigmented than it actually is. A lot of people were giving him a hard time about this online. I saw a lot of comments. A lot of people have already been making videos saying they're fake swatches, and I think that it is pretty much an issue if you're trying to tell people that the swatch is just a fresh swatch when it actually is being coated maybe once or twice over. The pigment of the eyeshadow on his fingers were going very deep down, so he might have like really been digging into the palette. We're not really sure until we see more reviews to actually see other people using this palette. I just thought it was very interesting that people caught this and saw that these swatches may not actually be swatched one time. Now, something else I thought was very sister silly that he did in the palette was he called one of his eyeshadow shades Ring Light.
So we have the shade Ring Light, which is obviously inspired by my iconic yearbook story that started it all.
Basically named after his senior photo that he took using a ring light to try to pick up his highlight in order to post for his senior yearbook photo to try to be more extra and all of that. But does James not know that the tea was already spilled about his senior photo, that it was actually all fake to begin with, that he actually photoshopped his senior photo?
Girl, like, who are you kidding?
Like, this was already called out. Thomas Halbert already exposed his ass on this. At James Charles, do you want me to post the convo about you editing your yearbook pic and how the ring light tweet is fake? Since you want to switch up? James Charles, recall when you emailed the yearbook company asking if you could edit your photos? Your come up is a scam, sis. I rebuke your tomfoolery. Here's the receipts. Add the timestamp the screenshot was taken. XOXO. I don't know why he's trying to still claim that he used the ring light or that it wasn't photoshopped all along. I guess, again, you know, you just have to avoid those type of drama situations when you're that big of an influencer. But on the other hand, it's like he was basically made on a lie. That doesn't mean that he's not talented. That doesn't mean that I'm shading his eyeshadow palette or anything like that. All I'm trying to say was, if this happened right now in 2018 and someone was on the come up and it was discovered that they actually lied about something that got them so much attention, this has happened with GoFundMes and other things that actually people realize like, oh, it's actually a scam all along. And then those people get in a lot of trouble. Now, I'm not saying he would get into trouble for this, but maybe he wouldn't have grown to 4 or 5 million subscribers if people actually found out. Maybe Ellen DeGeneres, when he was on the Ellen DeGeneres show, like, does Ellen know that he actually lied about the yearbook photo to get him on her show? I just feel like there's a lot of sister suspicions around the senior yearbook photo, and I just think that naming ring light after something that wasn't actually the case, that yes, you're claiming that was your come up, but on the whole flip side, you faked that. I just think that's very weird, to say the least, but that is the name of one of the eyeshadows on the palette. Again, I think it's great. He has a lot of different shades in this eyeshadow palette. The one criticism that I have for it is it's a very big eyeshadow palette, so this isn't something that you're really gonna like really throw in your purse and like carry around to like touch up or that sort of thing. It is appearing to be a larger palette. He does say like, oh yes, you can go travel with it and everything, but I'm like, really? It is kind of a larger palette. It's almost like the Jaclyn Hill palette. The Jaclyn Hill palette, again, is a large palette as well. Now, Now, if you're a makeup artist, I can see this is something that you might put in your kit, whether it's the James Chains palette or whether it is the Jaclyn Hill palette. These are like bigger artist palettes, and again, I think that's the point of it, since it's supposed to be kind of like a redo of sort of the 35B palette that was discontinued by Morphe. You can buy that overseas and stuff like that, but it is not available for sale anymore in the US, again, because James has been working with Morphe over the last year to develop this palette. Now, with this launch, James also has a brush set that has come under so much heat already online. They're $149, and for Morphe brushes, girl, those brushes are cheap. And everyone I know who's ever used Morphe brushes have always complained about them. They break so easy. The quality of the brushes are just very poorly made. Now, we haven't seen them really in use or anything yet, so I'm really curious to see with some use of these brushes, are they going to hold up? Are they going to last? Maybe, girl, just go on Amazon, maybe go on eBay, go on Alibaba.com, bitch. Buy some made in China bitch brushes. If you are going to invest in brushes, buy some really nice quality brushes. I'm not saying made in China bitch brushes are going to last you, but what if you buy a $149 brush set and you can't use them after 2 or 3 times? They just completely snap apart and break. So I just think that the brushes, and releasing them with Morphe, like maybe Morphe shouldn't really be doing brushes since there's always so many complaints online about the brushes. I don't know, we're about to see about those brushes, but a lot of people have been sounding off online about this whole collaboration with Morphe, so I wanted to pull up some comments that I saw online on Reddit to show you guys what other people are saying about James and his collaboration. I'm just honestly over every single collab being an eyeshadow palette. And why does every eyeshadow palette need a handwritten signature on it? I'd love a guru to have a custom artwork or front made up so it's actually interesting and stands out. It's just so big and messy looking to me. I love color, but I don't need a whole rainbowish palette of this sort, especially not this large a palette, with this random and assortment from Morphe, whose formula is not exactly my favorite. I do appreciate how colorful and fun it is. That's definitely more interesting than yet another warm neutrals palette with 1 or 2 pops of color, and I'm very happy for James as I do enjoy him, but it's going to be a hard pass from me. Sister is a bit full of herself. I understand he is proud of the work he put in, but calling everything from shadows to brushes the best in the world is a bit cocky. I have a feeling any not so good feedback will not be well received. Also, I am pretty sure he had a huge Morphe team actually developing the products, and he is not giving credit to anyone but himself. Not good business manners. It's always important to mention and credit the team you worked with. The brush collection is ridiculous. $149? I know it's a lot of pieces, but Morphe brushes are cheap. They don't last long and shed like crazy. I bought a cheap Amazon brush set of like $12 or $5, and those have lasted longer than my Morphe brushes did. Girl, there are some shady sisters online already sounding off about this palette. I'm really curious to see what this palette looks like in use. I'm also really curious to know how much it sells. I wonder if this is going to make James $1 million. How many units are they going to produce of this palette? I believe with Jeffree Star said in his series with Shane, they usually start off with 100,000 units. So again, at $39, the palette itself, if that sells out the first 100,000 units, that can net Morphe $3.9 million. So it could make sense that James would get a 33% cut of that money, perhaps. I don't know how well the brushes are going to do in comparison to the palette. Is the market just oversaturated? Are you guys just tired of launch after launch of one collaboration after the next? I know a lot of people are cash strapped. They can't afford to be buying a $50 palette and another one and another one and another one. People are always looking for dupes, and I don't ever recommend you putting dupe eyeshadow on that is from other crazy weird places or companies that are very poorly made. You know, they can have rat poop in it, you know, and you're gonna smear that all over your face. So just be careful when you girls are looking for alternatives to these type of palettes. Oh, and before I forget, really quickly, before we end off this video, Kevin James Bennett, who is always shading YouTubers, always shading influencer deals, collaborations, all of that, he actually tweeted James about this palette, shading it, and then James actually tweeted and deleted about him. We have the screenshot here for you girls, so here it is. Introducing Jaclyn Hill 2.0 with 4 million more subs than the original. Morphe knows where the money are. James Charles, you are the absolute scum of the makeup industry. I'm not really going to address it other than showing you that that actually happened. But in any event, I'm really curious to hear what you girls think in the comment section down below about James and his Morphe launch. Are you guys gonna buy it? What do you girls think about the shades? All of that sort of stuff, leave in the comment section down below. Also, again, you guys have been asking for an update about what's going on with me. Am I okay? Like with my health sort of stuff. I'm putting it here in the end of the video if you have any interest. But basically, I am going to be getting a surgery on my spine in sometime in the next like 3 weeks or so. I'm not really sure with the exact scheduling. I'm still working on that. Hopefully everything will turn out okay. I know that I'm going to need to be in the hospital for a few days, and then I'm going to need to recover probably for about a month or so. So I may disappear again, but I'm going to give you guys more details on that when I know in my next video. But basically I got up and dressed for you guys so I can make this video after seeing this launch video, because I wanted to comment, spill the tea, and try to get myself in some better spirits. Otherwise, like I said earlier, make sure to subscribe down to my channel. I want to be posting more videos for you guys. I promise. I have the intention. I just haven't really been feeling well. But again, if you subscribe and support me, that would mean a lot to me. I want to hit 100,000 subscribers in the near future. I said by the end of this year. I don't think it's going to happen with my health stuff, but every subscriber helps in the meantime. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys on my next video. Thanks so much for watching.